Have you ever wanted to make more money with less effort? That sounds pretty cool, right? That concept is not only possible, it's actually easier than you think. Now, you may say that if it's that easy, then why aren't all entrepreneurs doing it? It's because most entrepreneurs are programmed to work hard for money. They grind out of habit and not identity. They leave their 9-to-5 job to pursue entrepreneurship, but never change their 9-to-5 habits. Millionaires don't do more to earn more. And today I'm going to show you 3 simple shifts that every high-performing and high-earning entrepreneur makes to create real wealth. But I can promise you, if you skip these, you will stay broke as an entrepreneur. But if you lock in on these shifts, your business, your confidence, your future will change forever. Now, toward mid to late last year, I joined a high-level coaching program with Omar El-Takouri. And this program, number one, has exceeded my expectations, right? It has been really good. Like, some people have joined coaching programs and their experience hasn't been as good as mine. Like, their experience didn't really teach them anything. And all it did was just sell them on the next thing. Did not create any real value and just sell them. But in my coaching program is real strategies, real tactics, helping real people build real wealth, right? Now, something that my business coach has drilled into me early on is that high performers, they don't gatekeep information. Why? Because that is a limiting belief. Broke mindsets gatekeep information. Wealthy mindsets, they multiply. Gatekeeping is rooted in one belief that if I share what I know, then I'm going to lose my advantage. That belief is a poverty mindset. It's poverty thinking, right? Because you're assuming that there isn't enough success to go around for everybody when it clearly is, right? That by me winning, you have to lose, or by you winning, that I have to lose. That's crazy. But in reality, it is God that gives us the power to gain wealth, not man. So by you saying that you're going to gatekeep information, that means you are limiting God. So I say all that to say, I'm going to give you the exact game that I paid thousands of dollars for, right? That helped elevate me as an entrepreneur. But I'm going to tell you, like, not everybody is going to get this. Not everybody's going to understand it. Not everybody's going to apply it. Because not everybody is ready for what is required to become a high-earning entrepreneur. Not everybody is ready to become what it takes to be a millionaire. Some people will hear this and stay the exact same, which is cool, right? But the ones who do get it, I can promise you this, you will become unrecognizable in your business, in your family, in your confidence. Your entire life is just going to look different. Right? So I have a question. When someone wants to start a business, what is the first thing that they do? They rush to create an LLC. I want to start this business, so I'm going to go out and I'm going to get me an LLC. Right? They have this great idea. Maybe their boss pissed them off. Maybe they got tired of somebody at work. They got tired of working for the man. They want their time freedom. Or they simply just want to get rich, right? So they go out and they start a business. Everyone starts a business from emotion. Because everything that we do is led with emotion and is backed up with logic, right? Me personally, like, I didn't start a business for money. My emotion was I hated waking up every single day doing something meaningless that I hate. I hated that. Like, I would much rather choose making $75,000 a year, doing something that I love, over making millions living a life that I hate. Oh, I am taking that bet 11 out of 10 times. Like, money is cool, don't get me wrong. And to have it is cool. But to have money and to be miserable is backwards to me. Like, we are the asset, not the money, right? Money comes and goes, but we are the ones that have to live with ourselves every day. But I do thank God that I don't have to choose, right? So In this situation, I decided to do both. I'm going to serve people doing something that I love to do, and I'm going to make millions doing it. Problem solved. But most people think that when they become an entrepreneur and when they have their LLC paperwork, that is what makes them an entrepreneur. But it doesn't. An LLC is simply a document or a receipt that says you had a moment of emotion, or maybe several moments of emotion, right? It's a receipt that says you got frustrated with somebody, you got frustrated with something, so you decided you're going to start a business. That's it. That is all that it means. Now, you do need an LLC, right? But it's not the LLC that you're thinking about. The LLC that you need to create wealth is not legal, but it's part internal and it's part skill. And this is what we're going to talk about, right? So the whole framework is LLC. We're going to go through each of those 3 points. Now, the first L is you must carry the identity of a learner, right? Specifically a student learner. I want you to do me a quick favor. I want you to go to Google and Google. I want you to go to Google and Google. Isn't it funny how we use Google as a verb? But I want you to go to Google, type in student, click images, and look what you see. When you do that, what you see is someone sitting in a classroom. A student is someone who sits under someone's leadership, under someone's teaching. But guess what? Just because you're a student doesn't mean that you're learning anything. Look, I was a student in the public school system for 12 years. What some people call the public fool system, right? And although I was a student, I didn't learn much in class. I learned more about myself at lunch than I did in the classroom. Lou, would you learn at lunch? What I learned at lunch is that every time that I eat, I like to fall asleep. And I learned that I like pizza on Fridays. That's it. 12 years of my life, and that's what I came out with, right? My point is that everyone who is a student is not a learner. That's why I say you have to carry the identity of a student learner. What is identity? Identity is the thoughts you believe to be true or untrue about yourself. Something my coach said is, until you shift your identity into a student learner, you can never become a high earner. Man, that's good. Most people go into entrepreneurship for their own selfish reasons, right? Which is not a bad thing, because like, you got to do whatever you got to do. Like, that's going to help you get motivated. Whatever gets you motivated to get you going, use it, right? Whether it's good, whether it's bad, whether it's a good emotion, a positive emotion, or a negative emotion. If it's going to get you motivated to get you going and to get you to start making moves toward the life that you want, use it. However, even though everyone starts their entrepreneurial journey for their own selfish reasons, you can't stay there, right? You have to evolve. You can't stay in that same place of just only serving yourself and serving no one else. Because if you do, one of two things is going to happen. You're going to make a bunch of money and you're going to manipulate a bunch of people, right, in the process. And then you're going to hate yourself at the end of the day because you manipulated people for a lesser value thing. Or you're going to make no money because you're only focused on serving yourself. You can't pay yourself at the end of the day, right? I like how Myron Golden says it. And of course, I'm paraphrasing this, but he says, if you want to make a bunch of money, it's in other people's pockets. And guess what? Everyone has problems that they need solved. So if you can solve someone else's problem, they will take money out of their pocket with their own hands, right? And they will give it to you. Seriously. Like, you don't have to beat them upside the head. You don't have to be sneaky. You don't have to scam them. They will happily give you the money if you solve their problem. Now, the caveat is you have to get really good at solving people's problem. not just your own problem. This is why it's important to become a student learner, because if you're only focused on your problems all day long, you're only attempting to solve your problems and nobody else's. Right? In order to solve someone else's problems, you have to become a student. You have to learn from other people. What problems are you dealing with? What problems can I help solve for you? And if you do that, they will solve one of your problems. If you have a money problem, they will solve your money problem by giving you money. This is why it is important to become a student learner. And this is why it is important to have a coach, to sit under someone's leadership who you can learn from. Because you can never lead at a level that you've never been led. In order to get to where you want to go, it's not always what you need to do, but it's who do you know that has been where you want to go that can take you there. Typically, it's not a what, it's more times than not, it's a who. Whose circle can I get in? That I can elevate myself, right? That I can learn the things that I need to learn so I'm not spinning in circles in my own paradigm, right? Whose circle can I get in that's already been where I'm attempting to go that can show me what obstacles to avoid? It's that simple. And on top of that, when you carry the identity of a student learner, you stop walking around life closed-minded. You stop walking around life focused only on your own problems, focused only on what is going to help you and not focused on helping someone else. You become a sponge of information because you have now a servant's heart. You want to serve people because you understand also that the byproduct of serving people is that I get help too. Isn't that crazy how that works? When you help somebody else, they help you out. So you become a sponge of information that helps you to get better when you identify as a student learner. Like everything that I do now, I look through a business lens. Everything. And it's simply because I joined this coaching program. It changed the way I think. It changed my mindset. It changed everything everything I thought about life at my level, it elevated it 10 times. The lens that I look through life now is now a $5 million lens. Why? Because I'm looking through my business coach's lens. Like there's some things that he may say that I may not understand. But as a student and as a learner, you're dissecting all the things that they're saying. You're taking all those things that they're saying. You're applying their beliefs and applying it to your life. So that way you aren't staying stuck at your same level, in your same mindset, in your same thoughts. That don't sound right, so I'm not going to do that. It's like Jim Rohn said, right? If someone has a result that you don't have, they're likely doing something that you're not doing. And it's also likely you're doing something that they're not doing. So the reason they have their success and the reason you don't is because of what they know. So even though that you may not understand the things that they're saying as truth, as fact, you almost have to take those things as truth and as fact and start applying them to your life. And when you start to do this, I'm telling you that your life changes, not just your business, but your life changes, right? So that's the first one. You have to carry the identity of a student learner, right? The next L is you have to have the accountability of a leader. I want to break this up into two parts. What does it mean to be an accountable leader, and why is this important? First, a leader is not a title. It's not a position. It's not you bossing people around. It's not you being in charge of people, telling people what to do. A leader is an identity of responsibility. It's seeing yourself as someone who has a high standard and holds yourself accountable to that standard, right? Because you have to hold yourself accountable to that standard first before you can hold someone else to that standard, right? Accountability is nothing more than ownership. And to be accountable is to say that everything in my life is my responsibility. Nothing is no one else's fault. And when you carry the accountability of a leader, you stop blaming the market. You stop blaming your past. You stop blaming circumstances. You stop blaming God. You stop blaming life, right? You stop wishing you had other people's circumstances. You stop wishing you had other people's traits and attributes, right? You are unique within your own self. But you stop wishing for all of those other things and you start taking accountability for the things that you have and the things that God has placed into you, right? You stop wishing you were smarter. You stop wishing you were taller. You stop wishing that you was a baller, right? You stop wishing you had a girl so you can call her, right? You start owning your own choices. Look, I'm going to tell you a story that my business coach told me is that he had a friend who was a real estate agent, right? Or he has a friend that's a real estate agent. And this guy, let's just call him a guy. This guy came to this real estate agent with a very specific house that he wanted, right? Now, the real estate agent looked around, but the house wasn't on the market. He kept looking, looked even deeper. He found this exact house that the guy was looking for. He had found it off the market. So what he decided to do is he went to the house, knocked on the door, had a conversation with the people, and then got them to sell their house. The house was off the market. It wasn't on the market. It wasn't for sale. He went to the house, knocked on the door, had a conversation, and got them to sell their house. Now, I'm pretty sure that he offered them something. He made them an offer that they couldn't refuse. Right? So there is some skills and some tactic there. But the market has nothing to do with anything when you understand that the most important aspect is the marketer. He said, my coach said, everyone wants to blame the market, but no one wants to blame the marketer. It's like, if you're not winning, maybe you're just a bad marketer. That's it. Like, what are we talking about? What does the market have to do with anything? People are buying homes every day. People are buying cars every day. Fitness products, beauty products, programs, courses. Every day, someone is buying something. I'm pretty sure you bought something today. If you didn't buy something today, I bet you're buying something tomorrow. But the question is, are you building yourself into a person that people want to buy from? Because I promise you, if they don't buy from you, they're going somewhere else and they're going to buy from someone else. But if you carry the accountability of a leader, right? You start becoming the best you can become at serving people, right? At serving people at the highest level. You can't gain wealth without the accountability of a leader. To have the accountability of the leader, right? Leadership starts with self-leadership, right? All leadership is influence. Your ability to influence your decisions, your ability to influence maybe someone else's decisions. But most importantly, if you can't influence yourself, there's no way you'll be able to influence someone else, right? So you have to have that accountability in order to serve people at the highest level, in order to make the kind of money that you want to make. Because if you aren't taking ownership of your own learning and development, if you aren't taking ownership of your own market, of your own thoughts and ideas, and if you aren't taking ownership of your body, right? And seeing your body as an asset. Because all sales is a transfer of energy. And if you can't show up with energy because your body is out of order, your business is going to be out of order. Because you can't sell because you're coming in with this crappy energy that nobody wants to buy from. And then you're hating your life and you're going home and treating your family a certain way. You're bringing that same energy into your family, right? Just hating your life because of you haven't taken the accountability of what it means to be a leader, right? What it means to show up with a standard, what it means to Take ownership of where you are in life and take responsibility for where you are in life. Take ownership and responsibility for where your business is. You haven't taken that accountability. You want to blame the market. You want to blame circumstances. You want to blame everything else around you except for the person that is actually getting the results in your own life, which is you. So it is impossible to build wealth when you don't have the accountability of what it means to be a leader, right? So that's number 2. For the last one, C, you have to have the deliverability of an effective communicator. Now, this is the skill that we were talking about. The first 2 is more identity based, right? It's more internal. It's something that you're constantly developing every day. Now, you're constantly developing this, but that's more internal. That's more of like a becoming. But your communication, I believe communication is one of the most undervalued and underrated skills in society and in business, right? This is where most entrepreneurs fail silently in their communication. They don't work to get better at how they communicate. All they want to say, why isn't no one buying my stuff? Why aren't people signing up for my program? Have you considered maybe it's because you're not an effective communicator? You do realize that if you can't communicate effectively, your message, your offer, if you can't communicate clearly your business, in your business to your team, you can't win in business. You can learn all the skills. You can lead yourself well, but if you can't deliver your value with clarity, with confidence, with conviction, guess what? You will stay broke. This is good, right? Look, you can't just talk a good game, but you also have to be able to deliver a good game, right? Because some people, they just talk just to talk, right? Some people just talk a good game. They feel if I talk louder, they feel if I talk faster, they feel if I say more words, then I can convince people to buy. Sales is not a game of convincing. Myron Golden says that to convince somebody is to get someone to do something for your own benefit. Now, maybe paraphrasing this too. But to convince somebody is to get somebody to do something for your own benefit. Sales is a game of persuasion. So if you want to be an effective communicator, you have to get really good at persuasion. What is persuasion? Persuasion is getting someone out of their own way to do something that they want to do for their own benefit, right? To help them, not to help you. Of course, you get the byproduct, but you are getting them out of their own way so they can help serve themselves. That's all you're doing. So you have to get really good at being an effective communicator. You can't just talk a good game, but when it comes time to show up for you to deliver in a way that breaks people's brain, right? Makes them want to give you their money. Like, you have to show up. You have to be effective at communicating, right? Deliverability and to deliver effectively is to deliver with clarity, to deliver with persuasion, conviction, confidence. It's a skill of taking what you know and delivering it in a way that makes people stop and listen to you, believe you, want to buy from you, right? Because here's the truth. People don't buy information. People buy communication. That's good. People don't buy information. People buy the person that is communicating the information. Every part of your business comes down to one skill, your ability to communicate. Marketing, communication. Sales, communication. Leadership, communication. Influence, communication. Branding, communication. If you want to get somebody to do something, if you want to influence someone, if you want to build relationships, if you want people to buy your stuff, you have to be really good at communication. Entrepreneurs, they don't get paid for how hard they work, right? Because truth be told, if you're just working harder, you're just working harder. It doesn't mean you're going to get paid more. Entrepreneurs, they get paid for how well they communicate. As I like to say, words are not just sounds, but words are seeds. And every seed that you plant is going to either get someone to buy or move them further away from buying, right? This is a skill that you will be constantly developing throughout your entrepreneurial journey, just throughout your life in general. Like if you take business out of it, right? If you want to get somebody, let's say if you want to get a girl, right? Or you want to get a guy, you want to be in a relationship. You have to communicate certain level of value to that person in order to get them to buy into you, to want to date you, right? If you have a family, if you have kids, you have to be a really good communicator and know how to deliver in order to get your kids to do what you would like them to do. Of course, until they get older and they start thinking for themselves and they just want to do whatever they want, right? But communication is, like I said, is one of the most undervalued, underrated things in our society. And when you start to prioritize the importance of what it means to be an effective communicator, that's when you'll start to win. That's when you'll start to see things change, right? Because it is words that always win in the market. Not products, not offers, but words. So when you look at this entire framework, right? The identity of a leader, the accountability, the identity of a learner, the accountability of a leader, right? The deliverability of an effective communicator. You'll start to realize that most entrepreneurs stay broke because they're trying to change their business without ever changing themselves. Wealth isn't a strategy problem. It's an identity problem. And these are the 3 key shifts that my business coach taught me, right? And they have fundamentally changed the way I think about business, the way I look at business. And if you think these 3 shifts are good yourself, right, make sure you go ahead and drop a LLC in the comments, right? Let me know this is good to you. But I hope you got value out of this. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe. Make sure you share this with somebody who may find value in this episode. And I'll catch y'all in the next one.